Hey everybody, what I wanted to show you today is some of y'all who buy pork chops from us may not know that we cut our own pork here. I get it from the farm up in Waynesboro. I get whole pieces, whole primal cuts is what they call it. I can get pork belly, this is a pork loin, we can get all kinds of different cuts, and then I do the chops and everything from these. That's one of the advantages with dealing with a local farmer is you can get things like that and you can cut them up the way you want to and store it instead of just ordering like a box of pork chops or something like that. The other advantage is the quality is so much better in these hogs. They're called Heritage Breed hogs. These are a crossbreed between Berkshire hogs, which are English hog, really prized for the meat, and the Ossabaw hog, which is from an island down in South Carolina. Ossabaw is known for their foraging, their ability to be able to live in the wild. They were actually shipwrecked years ago by some of the Spanish explorers, and they lived on this island and were pretty much untouched until the 1970s. And so then they started crossbreeding the hogs, and so the farm that we get the pork from, Automala Farms, they don't have big houses and everything for the pigs to live in. They live outside. There's little sheds and everything, but they eat in the woods. They roam all over the place. Gives you a really nice tasting pig, so you get the meat quality from the Berkshire hog, and then the Ossabaw's got that part of the hog is the one that can survive out, and flourish, whether it's in the woods or in the pastures. And instead of the hogs you see a lot of times we're all muddy and stuff. They send me pictures where these hogs are like laying in fields of clover. I mean, it's just a lot nicer. So what I'm going to do for you is show you some basics of where different parts come from. Now we're doing pork here, beef, lamb, venison. Every animal like that is all built the same. So the tenderloin comes from the same place in pork or in hog as it does, in beef or the other ones. Everything's built the same. Of course, different sizes, slightly different shapes. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to take out the tenderloin. Now this is the inside of the animal here, inside the rib cage. These are your baby back ribs. Through here on the belly when we get them are the much larger spare ribs. So the first thing I'm going to do is take out this tenderloin, which actually sits inside the rib cage. Right in here, you'll notice how the one thing, there's a huge difference between this and the pork you see in the grocery stores. You look at the color. Okay, that is beautiful color. It looks kind of more like beef than the regular, what they call the other white meat in the stores, which is a whole nother discussion. But you can see how pretty this is. Now this especially is going to be dark. You can see here in the ends and all stuff, it really looks like beef. This has been dry aged, and some of you have heard of dry aged beef. They can also do dry aged with pork, not quite as long, but what that does, what dry aging does is it's put into a room, a refrigerated room with fans blowing on it, and it helps age the beef. But what you're doing is, when you're dry aging it, is the water, natural water in the muscle is evaporating, so it's going to intensify the flavor. Same thing with beef. So the first thing we're doing is we take out the tenderloin. Now I'll go and clean that up later. This is what you find, you'll see a lot in the packages. Take some of this off so you can see a little bit better. Same as a beef tenderloin, just a lot smaller. This is the stuff you see in the package in the store that's usually marinated. And it's 100% clean. Now I'm going to clean some of this off. You see the shape, I just want you to see the shape a little bit. But I don't like taking all the fat off, because if there's no fat, there's nothing for it to really baste itself, and it tends to be drier. So I'm going to leave some of that on. Now, like I said, here is This is the rib end of the loin. And see, I could take this off and you would have baby back ribs. Now here at the store, I have sold boneless rib chops before. Bone-in seems to do better, so I don't take the baby backs off. What I'm gonna do though is take this knife, go down here, and take off, there's a membrane here. So I'm gonna take this off. And what that does, it'll make it a lot nicer to eat because you don't have this membrane here on the inside. See how it comes off in strips. It's easier. Right here. Pull it. This pork, one of the nice things about this pork is the fat content. There we go, you can see it coming off. But this fat is very creamy, and so it makes grabbing a hold of everything that much more difficult. Try a rag, you can take a pull, you can see how that comes off. Especially if I was going to do baby back ribs, I want to take this off because this stuff just gets chewy, and we don't want that. Okay. So this is the rib end, this is the loin end. All the way down here is actually the sirloin. Remember, same thing on beef animals. So you get sirloin end, the loin end, rib end. I'm going to separate the loin and the rib end. Oh, this happens to be, this is actually pretty Nuttall's old salt. And I found it upstairs. It was covered in about 30 years of dust and beef fat. It took me hours to clean it. I was able to get the model number off of it, and I was able to order new blades for it. So that's what I used when cutting up the hogs. I had a meat saw, but it wasn't big enough. This is about a 20-pound loin. This is a small one. The one I got last week was 52 pounds, and it was a beast, so you need a bigger saw for that. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting, you can see from the loin, and these are where the chops are gonna come from. Now, the tricky part here is you've gotta take this off. This is called the chine bone, which a lot of stuff, the ribs are attached to it, but you can't cut the individual chops until you take the chine bone off. So, take here. Now in the big fancy butcher shops, they've got electric bandsaws, which make this job really easy to do and quick to do. We're not like that. So take this and separate it out. Still got a little bit. Still got a little bit in there. I can tell you doing a 20-pound loin is a whole lot easier than doing a 52-pound. That thing about kicked my butt a couple weeks ago. So we're taking off what's called the feather bones down here, the chine bones, the feather bones. Do just a little bit more into this. here can do is here's where we cut our chops from. Straight down. I think there's still, yep, there's a small little bone right there. Now you can see how pretty that meat is. And all I'm going to do is cut down in between the ribs. You can see, so I'm going to trim a little of this excess fat on. We do want some, because fat's the flavor. And when this fat cooks up, it's actually really firm. It's not like normal fat you would see. So you want that through there. Because remember, fat adds flavor and moisture. No matter what some people tell you, fat is our friend. Okay, so that's the chopping. So I'm going to cut chops all the way down. This end is the loin end. If that tenderloin was still there in this spot, what this would be is I would be cutting porterhouses. This is where the porterhouse steaks come from. So again, that tenderloin is missing. And that's, like I said, the tenderloin would be in here. So this is like the porterhouse steaks you're used to seeing. This is like a miniature version of that. So I'll finish cutting these. These will give me my loin chops. And here at the end, this is the sirloin end. We cut it about here. That end, and I'll take and debone it. And this is what we'll make our pork roast setup. We have little sirloin roasts that we keep in the freezer. So anyway, that is the basics of what we do with the loin here, where we get the chops from. So that we get the rib chops. You could take these ribs off for baby backs, and then just do your boneless pork loin comes from here. Remember, the tenderloin comes inside the animal, the sirloin in here. So I just wanted to show you all, because not a lot of people do this anymore. You go to the grocery stores and it's, boxes of pork chops or whatever that come into there. We do this individually. It gives us a little flexibility about what we can do. And this meat is just so gorgeous, and it's so different from what we do in the stores. I just wanted you to see how we got to that point. I appreciate you all watching the video, and we'll have more coming out soon.